how do you approach writing a new song? Like, where does the initial seed come from?
I don't know. It's just mistakes and just like, I guess you got to just run with the first idea you have. Something that makes you inspired, you know, and then um, I don't know. There's a few different approaches, but I don't know, man. That's hard to explain. It's not that complicated. You just kind of like, that's nice, you know? Or you just think like maybe this would fit with that. Sometimes, I mean, usually with guitar, with metal, it's like this riff is good. Okay. Oh, what about this old riff? Let's try and stick that on next to it. Okay, that sounds cool together, you know. So it's more like that. It's not hard. I mean, it's hard, but it's not like, it's all about like, this is good, this is bad. It's not like there's no like
Formula.
science. No, and there's no like secret or anything. It's more like, you know, if it, you got to be excited by it. I mean, it's hard to finish songs, but the first spark of inspiration is always like, oh, exciting. Oh, this sounds cool, you know. And with the synthwave stuff, I'm not playing that much keyboard. It's more like just like
clicking.
Yeah, clicking, and then I'll think maybe a part like, so I'm more making it in my head, like this melody should go like that, and I'll change the bass line. So, I don't know. I mean, it's easy to just grab old ideas from your toolbox, you know. So it's, but sometimes that can become boring, you know, or repetitive. So.
Okay. So in your case, do you?
So maybe if you look at artists, like if you look at artists that are super productive, you know. Super prolific. They have a lot of tricks up their sleeves. That's why they can release so much music, you know. And it's not necessarily the great music, you know, but there's a lot of tricks, you know.
Understand.
Like a song, you can write a song really fast if you've done it a while. You can be
right.
like, oh yeah, another point like that. You can just do it really fast, but then maybe that won't be so original or fun, you know.
Okay. Well, in your case, do you then always, do you have the obligation to start with like a specific instrument, or are you more like whatever hits you? I think I've got this synth idea, let me quickly click it on the computer. Or do you always feel obliged to go back to the guitar and start to write from there first before you move to any other instrument?
A lot of these ideas on the synthwave album were guitar melodies or guitar parts that I made transferred to keyboard.
Okay. All right. So it's fairly clear then it's most of the time guitar and
yeah, definitely. But also I know my way around the guitar so much that sometimes it's fun to just mess around with the keyboard because I'm not so good at that. So I make more. It's more like happy mistakes, you know. But a lot of it, like usually I'll write stuff when I first pick up the guitar in the day.
Okay.
And you just kind of like play something and like, oh, that's nice, you know, and then you record it and then you go back to it later.
I see. Okay, yeah, I guess speaking of happy mistakes, I mean I guess that happens when when you start clicking those MIDI blocks and then sometimes you hit a note that you weren't intending to hit and it was like, oh yeah, that sounds kind of cool as well, you know.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And then happy accidents and then you get
you know, it's cool, you can just like change the tempo and stuff, you know. When it's all MIDI, you can just like, I'm gonna have to slower, and then you just like get inspired from that. So it's the same thing when you plug in effect pedals and stuff. When you play guitar, you can get inspired by different sounds.
Yep.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing that. So, when you record a song and when you track a song, what qualities must your song have in order for you to deem it ready to be heard by the public?
Well, you know, just. Oh, gosh, I don't know. Just not. I think the arrangement needs to be ready, you know, not like an unnecessary part, you know. It's not good to keep stuff that you just because you you got attached. Sometimes you get attached to stuff, but you need to
Mhm.
think like, this is actually kind of boring, this part, you know.
Mhm.
And it can help to have other people give input too, and you know. You don't want to keep stuff just because you worked a long time on it, you know, or
Mhm.
that it's got to be like it's like pop songs, you know. You want to keep it moving, you know. You want to keep it interesting, you know. So I guess the arrangement needs to be ready.
Okay. So then you said you mentioned that sometimes it helps to get other people's input. So usually at what stage do you get other people's input? Do you like complete the song, or do you usually send out initial ideas and like, oh, what do you think of this? Or do you know, finish everything and then
Well,
present
I
it?
don't send it. Well, I can send it, but then you don't get any. I mean, it's hard. Nobody's got the energy to write a whole thing by text. You know, it's better to play it in person. People will just write. Oh, I will if somebody sends me. It sounds great. Sounds cool. You know, you don't like. Actually, at 2:21, I really like the way that you changed the melody there. It's not like nobody's got the time for that. I don't. You know, but bands send me shit sometime, and what am I? Man, I don't. I pay me, and I'll listen to your shit. I'm not gonna listen to your album and give my input. I don't have to and write a whole thing about it. Maybe if you pay me, you know. So nobody's that interested in other people's music. I mean, I'm not expecting anyone else to be. So, you know, it's if you can play it for friends or family and see their reaction, and then you can feel like, yeah, this part is actually, or this part is really good, or like, you know, you do it in person with someone, you know, and like, and then you can feel like that if something's really good or not.
Mhm. Yeah, I guess
So
it's good. That makes a lot of sense because obviously sometimes and it helps because you're actually very clear on your stance when it comes to that. Because obviously a lot of us get in the situation where people send us their songs and then we kind of feel obliged to kind of give them some
yeah,
sort
yeah.
of input, and you know, regardless of whether we want to or not. So it's actually kind of
Well,
good that
I
you.
mean, it's like a lie. It's a white lie. You just say sounds cool, you know. I mean, I don't know. Um, Usually, I just send stuff to people when they say, "Please send me your new music. I really want to hear it," you know.
Okay.
And
So it's not just sending out at random, oh,
no, but
check
that's
this
probably
book.
good too. I mean, I'm not very driven that way, you know. I know some people are really self-promoting, you know, and that's
Mhm.
good, you know, because that's a good way to get ahead too, you know. But I've been lucky. I've been like I got a lot of success. I mean, if you compare with all musicians in the world, I mean, I'm not successful if you compare to like whatever a huge artist, but I'm successful in the scope of like how many people play music in the world. So, and that kind of just happened on its own in a way. I mean, all I did was practice a lot and write music, come up with ideas, and show up, you know, and perform the shows. You know, I never really like thought a lot about, oh, I have to do this on social media, or I have to act, I have to network, I have to go out, meet these people, which is also great. I admire that, but I never had to do that.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good. I guess it's very individual because everyone has their own approach when it comes to,
Yeah, everyone
you
has a
know,
different starting point, you know.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And so there's no real right or wrong here. It's just what works best for you, and it's as simple as that.
But I mean, I have also tried to promote myself, you know,
Hmm.
like you know, to like going to the NAMM show, you know, in
Hmm.
LA up in there, like you know, doing clinics and stuff that don't pay very well, but it's really good promotion, you know.
Hmm. That's true. Okay.
Hmm.
Well, speaking of promotion, I understand that you are also teaching, and I'm not too sure how long this started, but I believe you kind of started this distance learning program with one of the studios in Sweden, if that is
Yeah,
correct. So, can you elaborate more on the details on that? And is that just limited to Swedish um,
it is. But
students
I
as well?
mean, but I teach. You can always you contact me on my Facebook or Instagram.
Mhm.
I and we could set up a guitar lesson. Anyone can do that. You know, just do it through Skype or FaceTime,
Mhm.
and that's something I've been doing for years. But when I moved to Sweden, I got in touch with this school of friends of mine, and I said, hey, I'm back in Sweden, if you want to set up some guitar classes or something. But then they had this idea to do webcam things because of the pandemic, so that's how that happened. So, but this is just something I've been like, those are just that's already going on,
Okay.
That's just a few Swedish students, So those are in Swedish, but I can do it in English, Chinese, Mandarin, and
Really?
No,
I was like,
no.
what?
No, I do English and Swedish. That's it.
Okay, all right. Well, that's good enough. I mean, knowing English kind of covers almost. I mean, I'm quite sure anyone who knows who Chris Amott is, and if that person chooses to go to you for lessons, I'm pretty sure he or she at least speaks English. So
yeah, I'm okay at English and Swedish. That's it. Maybe German. Maybe.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, that's good to know, and yeah, hopefully I'll be privileged to take a lesson from you sometime soon after this. After this, I mean, you've been
Anytime.
an inspiration for a long
Thanks.
time. Since I mean, I'm not that old, but then I mean, I've been a fan of yours since pretty much since I started to listen to metal. So,
Thank you.
and it was your solos that constantly, made me want to play the guitar, and sometimes made me want to sell the guitar because I was like, I'm never gonna play like that.
Hey man, there's a lot of punching in and out in the studio with the solos. a lot of cheating. And then when we started rehearsing for the tour, I was like, shit, I gotta play this as good as the album. So I had to practice my ass off, So those solos on the Arch Enemy albums are they're, some of them are really complicated, and I had to relearn them, kind of.
Okay, well, one way or another.
Learn them to play them as clean,
Yeah.
Because I would play and I would fuck up, and then you'd punch it again and go do the next part really well. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Well, I guess
cheating.
that's technology being on our side, making life a bit easier.
Yeah, but then you have to like perform, do it live. So that's yes, it's different.
Well, I guess in some ways, I mean, the ultimate outcome is still pretty much the same, because at the end of the day, you either practice before you track, or you practice after you track. One way or another, you're still actually able to play it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's sort of your motivation to be able to play those solos live as cleanly as possible.
Yes.
Okay.
I like to play clean.
Okay. Well, speaking of you being, guitar idol and inspiration to me since many years ago, and I believe it's the same case with other people, I have to ask this question. Obviously, we've seen since I got to know who Chris Amott was, you were with Caparison Guitars, and in the recent years, obviously, you've shifted to Jackson. So, if I may ask, what was the catalyst for the move? For you to move from Caparison to Jackson?
I thought it would be a good career move because they were still a really small company.
Mm-hmm.
They're excellent guitars, but I was like, maybe if I don't know. I just wanted to try some new guitars. Firstly, I wanted to try another brand, and then I thought, wow, they're owned by Fender. Maybe they could do. Maybe it would be good for my. After I left Arch Enemy, I felt like maybe it'd be good for my career. Like they could do ads, take out ads, or they could, like at the NAMM show, etc. They have a more. And they have been good that way, They paid me to do clinics and that kind of stuff. They've been so nice to me, because there was years after leaving Arch Enemy, there was years where I didn't really do a lot of professional work, you know. And they were super nice to me, sent me amps and stuff and guitars and equipment. So like EVH and like the guy I spoke to at Jackson or at Fender, he was taking care of Charvel, Jackson, and EVH amps. So, but yeah, so yeah, it was like I thought it would be cool to have a bigger sponsor, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's very true.
Yeah, but now I don't know. I mean, yeah. But now Caparison are growing, you know, they're in every music store and stuff.
Yeah. Oh well.
So yeah, but I'm still friends with them, you know, and who knows what will happen.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. One thing I noticed, like obviously now, I mean, you play the Kelly, which has the humbucker. So how is that different for you in terms of what you can do on the guitar? Because you've been playing the humbucker single coil for a long time.
Don't really think that matters so much, you know. What I can do, I mean, I don't know, like. Do you mean live or in the studio?
Well, I mean generally. So because when you had your signature with Caparison, you had the humbucker single coil. Was that sort of like how did you call it? Was it a decision that you made because of specific reason? You know, you needed to have the single coil in the middle for a specific sound, or you had it there because you always had it there?
Yeah, I didn't use that one so much. I just switch all the way. You know, if it's a 5-way switch, just switch all the way to the front or all the way to the back.
To the back. Okay.
Yeah, that one middle one was more like maybe. Is that really a single coil though? Same with Duncan hot rails.
Well, it is like a single coil slot, but then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
it's a humbucker in a form of a single coil.
Yes.
Yeah.
So single coil mics are great, but I've never used them in like a metal setting. You know. But no, the middle one I think I use more in like when recording clean guitars. On an album. I was like, oh, that's a nice tone, you know. But live, I'm just switching like for the leads, you know.
Front and back.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So
the reason. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that was it.
Oh, okay. Well, no, because I always found like the middle, any pickup in the middle is always a nuisance because it kind of gets in the way of your pick. So
I always lower. Like live, if it's I know what you mean. It gets in the way.
Yeah.
So it's like the neck pickup and the bridge are higher than the. I usually bring that one down because it gets in the way.
Yeah, especially during live shows and things like that. So yeah, so that was kind of the nuisance because in order to get it out of the way, obviously you have to drop it, and sometimes what happens is if you flick the switch in the wrong position, you get this sudden dip in sound, which is also a pain. So
yes,
I was never a big fan.
Yeah, I don't know why I did that. I think it was probably also that I could, you know, have 3 pickups. But now I use
2
just 2. Yeah. I mean, you get the sound. People think of it too much about gear, but if you know what you want it to sound like, you shouldn't be too like get lost in equipment, you know. Like I know within a few seconds when I plug into an amp or a guitar if it's going to work. You play a few things and you see if it responds the way you want it to respond. You're not going to find your magical tone, you know, through like, not me at least, but I don't know.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think gear is one thing, but then I think it's also fairly important to kind of be able to pick up whether that guitar or that pickup will give you the sound you want, and I think that's often something you pick up within, you know, the first couple of minutes of, you know, just by noodling on the guitar.
Yeah, and But you don't want to work. Sometimes you have to work really hard to get the sound you want, you know. So yeah.
Okay. Well, so since we're talking about this, so how do you define a good guitar tone, and how do you go about, trying to achieve the tone that you want? So what's the definition of a good guitar tone? Because obviously with leads, you have so many different approaches. Some people like the mids, really boosted, and some don't. And so in your own, mind, what's the definition of a good guitar tone?
Well, I suppose I don't want to have too much distortion on the leads. I mean, this is really hard to explain because it's like it's hard to put words on it, but I don't know how to explain it. I guess pretty defined, and a lot of mids is good because it cuts through, and I like to have a fair amount of delay on there, or at least reverb or something. I don't like to play totally dry. And I guess like I do a lot of runs on the bass strings. I climb up. I do these ascending runs.
Yeah.
So I want it to not be too boomy, the bass maybe.
Okay.
So that's hard to. I can't really explain in words what a good. It's more like how it responds.
Okay.
Like, you don't want to have to pick too hard, or I don't know. There's a lot of factors playing in. I can't really. I'm not really good at talking about that kind of stuff. I've never really studied it that much. Okay. And for me, it's more just like some people are really good at that. Like I'm really good at theory, but some people can really talk about guitar sounds. But for me, I'm more of an idiot in regards to that. I'm more like just like just trying to tweak it, So
okay, so then
I leave that to experts.
Okay, all right. So then, in a simpler term, then can I safely say if someone wants to look for a Chris Amott tone, if they refer to any of the albums that you've produced, is that what you think is what you would really go for in terms of tone?
Yeah. Yeah.
So without explaining, so that's like in your head, that's a good tone, and that's the tone you want in order for you to express what you have in your head.
I mean, I don't know what. Yeah, it's just. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't know what to say. I mean, sometimes I get emails, people ask me, "Oh man, I love the sound on the second Arch Enemy album. What amps or like what mics did you use?" I'm like, I don't remember that. I don't remember what amps we used. There's many amps. It's mixed. We'll play like 2 tracks with an Engel and then 2 tracks with a Mesa Boogie or something, and then it's mixed, and that like maybe I'm playing rhythm guitars on like one of Michael's guitars, because it has the best tone for rhythms. I don't remember what kind of pickups. I mean pickups, not mics. People will ask me what pickups I used 20 years ago for like something special. Like that's not how it works.
So in your case,
what the room was like and how far away the mics were from the whatever amplifier or whatever.
Well, I guess if that's the case, then it's more like whatever feels and sounds right in that moment, then that's the one that works for you. So it's not really like it has to be this specific gear. It has to what. So you
I'd worry much more about arrangements, and a lot of my favorite metal albums, I don't think they have a great sound. A lot of it's more about the arrangements and the notes. That I don't know. I just sound is just if a song is good, you're gonna accept it.
Yeah.
But like there are so many albums that sound where the production is pristine, but the songs are boring. You know, that's the worst. That's like a huge failure. You know, that's like making a beautiful movie. It's like all of these Hollywood movies that are just amazing looking, amazing, and it's just really boring, cliched storyline. It's like, what's the point of that? Is that art? I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, a good song is a good song.
Marvel. Like I don't watch like Marvel Avengers or whatever, you know. But that's for children, I think, you know. But they look amazing, but I couldn't sit through it. It's just too boring. You know? Okay. So for me, you worry about. Don't think that people are gonna like your music more just because you switch to another amp, you know. Yeah. But I don't know.
Yeah, I guess a good song is a good song, and that's why there are songs that really have, you know, lived through the test of time. And, you know, it could be a song that's like 20 years old, 30, 40 years old. A good song will always be a good song, even though it was recorded like, say, 40, 50 years ago. You know?
I mean, you're not gonna, if you like the notes being played and the way the instruments are being played, you're not going to be like, this is great, but I can't listen to it because the production is not as good as this album. Yeah. It's not. So people don't worry about that shit. No. Yeah. Just tune. I mean, as long as the guitars can tune, you know, and all that. You know.
Exactly, and that should actually be top priority, like you said. And you could have top-notch recording gear, pristine sound, but bad composition. And
or it's boring, you know. But listen, I've also been lucky because I've worked with really great producers and stuff that have just taken care of it for me, you know. I've just shown up and they just plugged in and they'll figure it out and it sounds amazing, you know. So you know, it's all about, you know, where you start in life, I suppose.
Okay. Well, that makes absolute sense then. Okay. Well, we're nearing the end of our session here, so I've got two more questions for you. So the main question is, looking back at your career, what sort of advice would you give the 14-year-old Chris Amott when he picked up the guitar?
Oh, wow. That's a good one. I think, okay. Probably not worry so much about like how other people play, you know, and thinking that there's a right way to play. Especially, you know, I don't know, I used to get really into like picking technique. And I would play a certain way, then I would see a video of someone I liked, and I would think, they're doing it this way, so that must be the correct way, but that's not the way it is, you know. It's everybody's like making up their own way of playing and not worrying about having to like, I can't play this lick as fast as this guitar player, you know. So it's good to like grow your own style instead, you know.
Okay,
well, I would just focus on my own style more.
Yeah, that's true. I think every one of us have, you know, that uniqueness within ourselves.
Yeah, or just trust my own instincts more, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And probably I would cut my hair, not have long hair for as many years as I had, because that was a pain in the ass. Because I have terrible hair. You probably have great hair, but mine was just like really thin.
Well, having thin hair isn't a bad thing. I mean, I'm not complaining about my thick hair, but But yeah, having really thin hair doesn't help too much, I guess.
Well, it was just like, it's a lot of work. I would probably not do some other things too that I, you know, like, but it's part of growing up, just like, I don't know, I used to smoke cigarettes. It's a terrible habit. Not when I was 14 though, but you know, it's things like that I regret. But most of us, I mean, I don't regret anything because you kind of regret the things you don't do, right?
Exactly. So, and then I guess it's like you're recording. You did what you thought and what you felt was right then, and then that kind of contributes to who you become in the end, one way or another. Okay. Well, thanks for sharing that. So, is there any other piece of advice that you would like to give out to anyone who's aspiring to be, whether a guitarist or a musician, anything else at all, being a professional musician yourself?
Don't do it. It's a terrible life. No, I'm joking. I don't know. I don't have any advice. I don't have any advice because I feel like a lot of people really want to be famous or they want to have success. There's the music business and then there's like music, and those two aren't really connected. You know, you can become a great musician, like jazz musicians. They obviously want to. Can you hear me, by the way?
Yep, I can.
Oh, okay. My ear headphones came out. So no. So yeah. So like. The music business is one thing, you know, and just, you know, the people you see are usually the ones. It's the same with actors or anyone really. It's the people who really want to do it. They really want to be in the spotlight, you know, and they're really great at social media, and that's what they need. You know, they need people to look at them and tell them they're a good. You know, that they're special, you know, so that's fine. So that's one thing. And to do that, you don't need to learn a bunch of theory and shit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, that's two separate things. Sometimes people have both, you know, but I don't know what to say. So for me, I've just been like, I want to make music. And I'm not saying that that's better. It's just that I'm not really good at promoting myself, or I don't really think in that way. I don't want to have a band that's successful and where I have to like have a bunch of people and worry about their employment, you know, and they're like people that would, no, we have to go on tour, you know, we have to release another album and like, please write more songs in this style because that's what was successful, you know. I've been part of all that, so I don't know. I don't have any advice, you know. You got to think, probably just follow your instincts, you know.
Okay.
If you want to be famous, you should go for it. You know? If you want to play in a big band in front of a lot of people, you gotta make that happen. If that's what you want. You know? I don't have any advice for that.
Okay.
But
Well,
if you want to become a good musician, I have a lot of advice for that.
Okay.
But
well,
I don't. Huh?
No, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean
Yeah,
to
it's just
interrupt.
not. I don't really know my. That's what I've focused on for 25 years is to like some kind of artistic journey or finding what I want to, like a sound, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. Well, you were saying you kept repeating you don't have any advice to give, but then like you kept giving out, you know, such valuable advice in between. So you were quite wrong about not having any advice because you were giving out so many valuable lessons, and
yeah,
I
but
think
I'm
it's
not
true.
I'm not trying to sit here and say like, oh, I'm an artist, you know, or I'm just following my inner. I don't care about that, you know. I think it's great people who want to be a rock star, you know. That's great, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on what you want advice for.
Okay, well, if that's the case, then what if someone asks you for advice? Okay, what's your definition of a good musician then?
Well, I think it's important to listen to the other musicians, you know, and and also to go out of your comfort zone and play with people that are better than you or a different style of music, you know. And also, like I said, I learned all the theory and everything. So it's good to push yourself a bit, you know.
Okay.
But maybe push yourself in a way, more like a cerebral way. Maybe not push yourself like, oh, I got to play this in 200 BPMs, you know. But like that's part of it, but that's not all that music is, you know. It's also about being able to come up with things and be creative on the spot, like improvising a solo or like writing a song, you know. Because some people will be like, where did that come from? How could you come up with that? And you're like, I just did. And that's because all those years you spent analyzing other music and learning everything, understanding music. So That's my advice.
All right, that's very valuable advice, and I'm sure it will be very helpful for a lot of people out there who will hear this. All right, so with that, I would like to conclude our session today, and I would really once again want to thank you so much for taking the time out to do this and to spend an hour of your valuable time with me today.
That was
All
fun.
Right,
those great questions.
Okay, I'm glad you think so. So I hope you had as much fun as I did, and I look forward to watching you play live. It's been a dream of mine. I've never got the opportunity to see you play live ever. So I hope that happens sometime soon in the near future.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right. So do us fans a favor and keep producing awesome music, and we as fans will continue to support your music.
Thanks
for as long as we can. All right, till then, till next time, take care and be safe.